Hello, I'm Linda Stallings with Fit Prescriptions. Today I'm here to give you some awesome information about lateral epicondylitis, commonly known as tennis elbow. And I know that I have a lot of people talk to me about their tennis elbow problems, and it takes forever to get rid of it. So I myself have had it, and it lasted a long time, but that was years ago, so I haven't had it in a long time. So I want to talk about the anatomy a little bit of your arm and your elbow. So you have extensor. This is your forearm muscle, of course. It goes up the front of the forearm, and the extensor muscle pulls back the wrist and the fingers, and the extensor muscle hooks on that lateral aspect of your elbow. So there's a big tendon right there that hooks in, and that tendon is the site of tennis elbow. The lateral aspect of tennis elbow. There's medial, but we're going to talk about lateral today because that's the most common one. It can be very painful. I know when I had mine, it even hurt to get a cup of coffee out or a cup of tea out of the microwave. Holding anything like that was stressful, and it's aggravating. So let's talk about the causes, and then we'll talk about some treatments, and then I'll show you some exercises. So the causes of tennis elbow, of course, tennis, a lot of tennis or using the wrong grip can cause it, but a lot of people who don't play tennis and or golf but have other gripping things that they do, can cause tennis elbow. Anything that strains this muscle and causes that to be overused will cause tennis elbow, because this is a small muscle group. So carrying things that are too heavy can cause it. Repetitive motions, twisting, maybe something you're doing in your job each day that you have to do. So those are some things that you want to think about. Also, computer, sitting at your computer all day, especially if you're ergonomic, if you're challenged with that can cause tennis elbow. Shoulder pathology as well. They're seeing now in some of the research that if you have some compromised movement in your shoulder or the rotators, internal, external rotators of the shoulder and the scapula, that can also come down the kinetic chain and cause some problems in the elbow. So what we're going to look at today is, what do you do if you get tennis elbow besides say this hurts and you can't quit life? So RICE, R-I-C-E, is always a good protocol. Rest, ice, compression, and elevation. As much as you can. I know in the real world it's hard to rest your arm. So I've added another word, Bryce, B-R-I-C-E, and that's brace. Brace is extremely important, and I brought one to show you, because this little puppy right here was what helped me so much, and I wore it all the time. I didn't just wear it when I was working out, I wore it during the day. And it just simply velcros on and goes right below the elbow. And you want to put it on fairly tight, not to cut off your circulation till your fingers go numb, but fairly tight so it supports the forearm. So it's a great support here and the muscle that's being strained or overused. Now you want to use this and do your other things, your RICE, but also first and foremost you want to talk with your doctor, your physician, and make sure there's not something else going on that's different than tennis elbow. But if it is tennis elbow, this brace will be your best friend. It was mine for a long time. And then let's look at some things you can do to actually, once you're asymptomatic and the inflammation, and I wanted to mention this, they're seeing now more research. We used to think it was just a strain in the forearm. Actually, they're seeing that tennis elbow, there are some minute microscopic tear in that tendon, and it's microscopic, but that causes the pain because it's going to get inflamed and swell and hurt. And the fluid's going to rush there, and that's going to press against the nerves, so then you're going to experience, that's why you're experiencing so much pain. So it's a little microscopic tear, so we've got to get that to heal. Once you're asymptomatic and you're feeling better, then you can do some passive stretches, some stretches of the forearm, flexion and extension, and just get some movement and some light stretching, and then there's some great exercises I want to show you. Now you want to be seated for these because you want to be able to support your elbow joint. So I'm going to use this little towel, I'm going to roll it up, just very simply, and you're going to put your elbow on your leg and then pull your wrist up, an extension, And so when I pull back, I'm going to squeeze. This is called a fist clench. And then I'm going to release. I'm going to pull back. I'm going to squeeze on that towel and then release. So you will feel this, especially if this muscle is weak. So pull back and clench and release. About 10 of these, just starting out. You know, talk to your doctor, your physical therapist if you need to about this, but this is a great exercise. The second one, you need a light weight, and when I say light, like 2 pounds, very light, maybe 3. You're going to grab it and you're going to supinate up with your forearm, turn it over, and bring it back down. You notice I'm not moving my shoulder. This movement is through the forearms and the wrists. I'm just going to pull that weight up and then let it go back down slowly and under control. 10 or 12 of these, and that will also help strengthen the forearm. And keep the dumbbell. We're going to also do some weight is supported of the elbow, some wrist extensions, pull back. So you're taking the back of your hand towards your forearm. Now notice I'm coming down, I'm not dropping down past neutral. I'm coming here, extend, and back to neutral. Extend, so it's not a great, huge range of motion. Then you're going to turn it over and do the opposing side. Flexion, shoulders stabilized, elbows supported, pull, and once again, don't roll all the way down. Keep it neutral, and here. So 10 to 12 of those with a light weight. And then last but not least is one of my favorites. So this is just called the wring out, like you're wringing out some water out of a towel. So you take it with your hands like this, and actually I'm going to make it a little bit longer. And you might want a thicker towel and just wring it out like you're wringing out water. So you're going to wring it out. You're going to go this direction about 10 times and then change directions and get both sides. And this doesn't take any time, guys, so maybe 5 minutes a day, and you could even do 5 minutes every other day, and that's going to really strengthen the muscle there in your forearm and help prevent tennis elbow. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.